Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up to the Coinbase Solana Building Gaming event today. I am Sammy Kim, and I'm on the business development team here at Coinbase. I will be your moderator today and also introducing all of our fantastic speakers. So despite the recent market headwinds and all the news, a lot of us in crypto remain very excited for the future of gaming, especially in conjunction with the emerging Web3 technologies. We think this is just the beginning for the new chapter of gaming. And I kind of assume that's why all of you are here today listening in, because we all share this appreciation for the gaming industry and an excitement for what's to come. And if that's right, then you're in the right place, because today we have an amazing lineup of speakers to talk about the recent trends in the industry, the things that we are looking out for, how Coinbase can help you build, and we will showcase two super cool games from StarAtlas and EVIO. So our goal today is that whatever your role is in this industry, be it a player, builder, investor, maybe you're just exploring, you can take something away, insight, ideas, food for thought. But most of all, we'd love for you to understand why we are so excited and come to share that excitement. Does that sound good? If so, then I want to introduce you to our panel. First off, we have Dan Kim, Vice President, Business Development of Ecosystems and Listings from Coinbase. We also have Mark Bhargava, Senior Manager, Cloud Business Development, also from Coinbase. We have Johnny Lee and Matt Sorg from Solana, General Manager of Games, Head of Ecosystem Engineering. Next up, we're going to be hearing from Sam Frankel, Corporate Development and Ventures at Coinbase. And then the two super games, the cool games I was talking about, Chris Scott, Game Director of EVIO, Michael Wagner, CEO and co-founder of StarAtlas. Then we're going to finish up by telling you all about our cloud and how we can help you build from Caitlin Wu, Product Manager of Coinbase Cloud. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Dan Kim, Vice President, Business Development.
Hey, thank you, Sammy. Hey, thanks everyone for joining. Really excited to be here. There's a lot going on in the industry. I know there's new news, good news, bad news, mostly bad news these days. I will tell you that of all the things that are going on, the sector in Web3 that just continues to excite and bring people together is gaming. It's one of those things that just seems to be resilient to all the stuff that's happening out there. And it's an area that I'm personally passionate about, and my team is personally passionate about, and Coinbase is passionate about. Why? Well, it's fun. It's engaging. It's much more exciting than just doing traditional DeFi, and it brings people together. But what's even more exciting about gaming in the context of Web3 is what blockchain tech can do to games. I think gaming has kind of hit a limit so far where people started to just compete on visuals and graphics and kind of multiplayer experiences. But I think Web3 and blockchain tech finally unlocks what games can do when you fully decentralize it and give people power back to those who are playing. So gaming is actually the reason why I got into blockchain and Web3. I've been doing DeFi for a while, but it's not something that you get really excited about. You just kind of do it. But I got into Web3 and decided to actually work for Coinbase because of how exciting gaming was in my mind once you start to apply blockchain tech to it. So super excited to be here. Really excited about the audience, obviously the audience, but the speakers here as well. Our good friends at Solana, and also one of my favorite games, EVIO, where I tell people it's just a game that you just kind of go and you just start playing, which I think is really the secret to making Web3 accessible to everyone. So with that, I'll stop talking. I'll turn it over back to you, Sammy. But again, just thank you for coming together and having fun in a space that hasn't been very fun recently. So again, my deepest gratitude. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. And what you said is totally true, because everyone here who's been in gaming for a while knows that the metaverse has existed forever in online gaming. And I guess the world's just starting to catch up. So next up, we're going to be hearing from Mark Bhargava about where we are in crypto and what we're expecting going forward.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sammy. So I will go ahead and go to the next slide here. Perfect. So I'll give a little bit of background about myself and then maybe a few predictions, and also before that, shape where we are in the industry. So I've been in crypto since 2016, at first investing. So a lot of cool sort of layer one initial projects like Filecoin, Algorand, Blockstack, and came into Coinbase through an acquisition. So I'm one of the co-founders of Tagomi, which is an electronic prime brokerage that Coinbase still runs, which allows folks to do really large trades. So for example, if you had a $100 million or $1 billion trade, Tagomi will break it into small pieces and smart route it across different exchanges and market makers. So it's really one of the first times large institutions could start trading in crypto because they had these more advanced tooling. Ever since the acquisition in 2020, I've been over at Coinbase working on all kinds of new product launches, both in BizOps and now on the business development team. And I'm very excited about especially some of the cloud products that we have and that are upcoming, and many of them link up into gaming as well. And then just on the side, have been doing quite a bit of angel investing. So TaxBit, Sardine, Crossmint, Strike, lots of different companies in the ecosystem. And I think as just a point of observation, even though the price is down, more good people are coming into crypto than ever before. So if you look at Web 2 people coming into Web 3, or new graduates, or the classes and curriculums at top universities, there's just never been this sort of influx of talent. So I think that's incredibly exciting. Which leads me to kind of how we got here. So I do see it as having 4 stages of the crypto industry, and now we're in the 4th stage, and that will lead up to, why gaming is so important and why this focus on Solana and Coinbase and what we're working on is so important. So the first stage was very Bitcoin focused, sort of 2009 to 2015, and it really came out of the recession. So it really came out of this idea that the government and large banks and others had either tricked us or just weren't transparent. And I think we can all agree that that was true. So Bitcoin was really one of the first ways you could own your own money. You didn't have to be impacted by the government or monetary policies or fiscal policies, and you could have true money. And at first also Hal Finney and others were using it as potentially a form of currency. And it was a very small community, very libertarian, very kind of anti-government in many ways. And all of that was until Ethereum started in 2015 and then really gained more momentum in 2016 and 17, where folks went from crypto as being just monetary to also now crypto being compute, and the idea of having decentralized systems and building on top of it. And while there weren't a lot of Ethereum-backed actual applications, it did set off this frenzy of ICOs, and the product market fit really was in the funding of a lot of these companies. And that brought a huge wave of people into the space, but obviously that alone wasn't sustainable. So we saw the 2018 crash. And so the third phase was, where do we go from here? So 2018 to 2021 really started being more about use cases. So even if it was a limited number of people, the use cases of things like DeFi for borrowing, lending, saving, NFTs for art, or even potentially utility around them, stable coins, especially in countries where it's really useful to be pegged to the dollar. And of course, the continuation of speculation as well is a major theme that always has underlied crypto as well to a degree. But in 2018 to 2021, these were much smaller communities. So even though we have these kind of growing use cases, they remain very small. And I think one of the big reasons for that is it's not very easy to build on crypto. It's not easy to make apps. It's not easy to make a social network, to make a game. And so the people committed in 2018 through 2021 and using these products were a small sort of first mover, first adopter like group of folks. And so that really takes us to today and what we're all building here together on this call, which is really the 4th stage of a more mass adoption, which I think will happen over the next 3 to 5 years, where there'll be a lot of plug and play options for you. So if you want to embed crypto with, for example, Coinbase's Pay product, or you want to put a wallet in the back end of a game or a fintech platform, or you want to make it really easy to have off-ramps and on-ramps to crypto, all of these pieces are coming together where suddenly, just like building on the web, building on crypto can be as easy, but of course also has the benefits of things like privacy and the benefits of things like ownership. That's the ethos of the space. And so I think in this 4th stage, in this last category that I discuss, what will be very exciting is gaming will be a really big part of that. And so kind of, making a few predictions here. Normally people only want predictions on price, but I'll try to make some other ones as well. A few trends that I'm really keeping an eye on, both as an angel investor, but especially in terms of Coinbase's strategy and focus on product and partnerships. The first is wallets as really foundational for social. So we have over 100 million people using wallets in the world. That's a really large initial community that continues to grow even as the price is down 80 or 60%. And so as more and more people get wallets, I think there'll be things like messaging between wallets or easier display between wallets. And so really having security and infrastructure around that and allowing for wallets to become more social. In the context of gaming, starting to embed wallets in games, embed NFTs in games, embed token drops within games. all of these will also link up to, I think, a more social future where crypto is not just a financial piece of the equation, but it really is part of the social stack that people have. And so this blockchain tech being embedded in gaming, social, and fintech, I think is really what lets you blow it out. Many of the fintech companies we might see in the future might have blockchain in the background and you never even know it. It's a smart contract around insurance, or it's really quickly making monetary transfers, et cetera. So I think as we start to see blockchain more as infrastructure, the number of people it touches could go from 200 or 300 million to a couple billion people, and we could see that massive J-curve of adoption as well. And then finally, kind of to end it on a really positive point, right now in the world, we've seen a lot of globalization, but people are sort of pulling back from that. They're becoming more nationalistic. There's more tariffs and trades. There's obviously a lot of global conflict between different superpowers. One thing I think has always been really cool about the crypto community that I expect to see grow, and in many ways Solana has really helped with that because it's very easy to use, it's very easy to build on, and also Coinbase, of course, has become the trusted name and brand in the space. But both of these organizations, I think, are really promoting something that's truly more global, that can have users all across the globe that kind of speak the same language, the same culture, can send transactions, can play games against each other. So I think overall, the ethos of crypto has always been about that appeal of sort of being transnational and transgovernmental. And I expect that to continue and people to play games across the globe. And I'm very excited for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark, for your views. Totally agree. I think the next era in our industry is going to be going mainstream. And I strongly believe that both social and gaming is going to spearhead that effort. All right. Next up, we have Sam Frankel from Coinbase Ventures to share some viewpoint about how we invest in this industry in these times.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. Yeah, so I can give a quick personal background, chat through sort of what we're doing at Coinbase Ventures, and then also chat through the future and so what we're looking for in the future. And so just personally, quickly, as mentioned, I am on the Corp Dev and Ventures team here at Coinbase, where I'm almost entirely focused on NFTs and gaming. I joined about 1.5 years ago and then spent the previous 6 years in gaming. And so from Coinbase Ventures, just in terms of kind of more meta, in terms of what our mandate is, we are an ecosystem fund. And so we look to partner with the next generation of crypto companies all the way across the crypto ecosystem. And so for us, that's been everything from DeFi to L1s, obviously NFTs and gaming, and sort of everything that touches the crypto ecosystem. At this point, we have about 400 portfolio companies. But interestingly enough, up until about 1 year ago, very, very few of them were gaming, probably about a handful. Over about the last year and a bit, we've made about 30 investments in the space, and have been super lucky to partner with a broad array of brilliant founders. So everyone from like Azure Games to Third Time, Clockwork Games, Branch, just to name a few, but there's a bunch of super exciting ones in our portfolio. In terms of where we've actually been investing, it's been a combination of GameFi and tech and also studios. And the reason is, one, we see upside in both just from an investment standpoint, but we also see a lot of ways that Coinbase can be super strategic for both of those partners. So for the studios, obviously, we can help with distribution, we can provide tech. For the GameFi providers, we often have a lot of tech that helps enable them to have a fuller offering for developers. And so we've been super strategic for both. And just in terms of how we want to play this in the future, we want to invest even deeper. We're super excited about gaming. We believe it is among the most, if not the most compelling consumer application of crypto, and the most exciting user on-ramp into crypto. And that belief largely just stems from the fact that Web3 gaming, if done properly, just codifies Web2 existing behavior and helps remove pain points for both users and developers. And so moving over quickly just to Coinbase Ventures in terms of what we're actually looking for in the games that we're investing in. And so there's broadly kind of 5 buckets. The first is just category. So there's a couple categories of game studios that we're more excited about. But I will say we are flexible, but the one thing we need is a founder who has a clear vision of why their game type is strengthened by Web3. I don't think every game can work in Web3 or needs to work in Web3. So we're looking for founders who have a clear POV on why they need Web3 elements. The second one is just an exciting vision. So we're excited about founders that are trying new things, folks who can leverage the blockchain to create new mechanics, folks who can create loops that can target mass Web2 mass Web2 audiences, and then also can have intricate loops to get higher monetization out of whales. And so the third part of it is kind of hand in hand with that. We look for someone who has an executable vision. There's nothing wrong with being a 10 or 20 person studio. You can do a lot of great things, but you should have a clear and reasonable goal and timelines. You're not creating Call of Duty in a month. And so we look for folks whose vision matches up with sort of their operational plan and is executable. The fourth bucket is team. We look for exceptional founders. And in terms of what that looks like on the gaming side, it's folks who are experienced game developers. We like teams that have worked together because we think they can have clear processes, they can ship faster. It's a little bit easier to create a new studio if you've actually worked with the people before. We like folks that we think can build out teams around them. And so they have some experience in the space and they can complement themselves. And then lastly, we look for folks with a long-term focus. We don't want to get rich in 6 months. We want our founders to have a long-term lens and to build something great together. And we view this as a super long-term play. And then lastly, just in terms of stage, we love and prefer back in game studios as early as possible. We want to help them leverage our network, leverage our tech, and we want to be involved with that. And so that's what we look for. That's what's going on at Coinbase Ventures. If folks are interested in chatting with us, feel free to reach out cold. We do not need introductions, so reach out Twitter, email, etc.
All right. Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing your thoughts on Coinbase Ventures, what we do, what we look for. As Sam said, if anyone is listening to this presentation and has some really cool game ideas, please let us know because we're also interested in them. All right, next up, I'm very excited to introduce you to the Solana team, Johnny and Matt, and they will be introducing to us their plans for the next year and some exciting things that are going on.
Hello, everyone. We're very happy and excited to join you today. Thank you to the Coinbase team for having us. We'll be providing sort of a pulse of market and some data-based insight into what we're seeing in Web3 games. I'm Johnny Lee, General Manager of Games at Solana. I come from both media entertainment, games technology, and working with comic book IPs. So pretty excited that all of those experience and skills are in use today pretty actively in blockchain games. Matt, if you could briefly introduce yourself.
Yeah, long gaming career, worked at Riot, worked at Unity, obviously. I also started an NFT marketplace for games in 2017 and a hearing aid startup, direct to consumer. But really on the technical side, really trying to accelerate and make it easier and easier with better and better products. That my goal in a couple of years, it's going to be easier to ship a Web3 game than a Web2 game.
Amazing, thanks, Matt. So we were tasked to kind of talk about the state of the industry a little bit on what we're seeing for Web3 games. We get this question a lot where the larger Web2 game developers and publishers, why would they ever move into a space where their lives are pretty cushy in Web2? You could max out selling the same character or new in-game item over and over. And so why would they ever move to Web3? It's a solid question and we had to think about it. And frankly speaking, up to a couple of months ago, we didn't have many data points, right, to back up some of these theories and hypotheses, but now we have great games on Solana. And some of the early data is indicating in-game asset swaps in the very near term, cross-game asset swaps in the midterm, and then cross-game asset swaps that include player data and player progression will be more than sufficient enough to be significant revenue opportunities for the larger game developer and publishers to move into Web3. This is supported by current in-game asset swap levels in live Solana games today. We're seeing a massive amount. And when the ecosystem is mature with games like StarAtlas and Eve.io and more, we think there will be a pretty robust ecosystem of cross-game asset swaps. Of course, the first thing that people's minds go to is asset swaps across digital items and collections for the games. But we think there's an important larger vision that is in play here. And let me pause there for a second in that, like, we at Solana and Solana Games will have 40 live games by the end of Q1. And so we think this like cross-game asset swaps and the ecosystem that will be built behind that is pretty close, right? And so we want to kind of build on top of that, where in-game asset swaps are proving to be pretty active and pretty revenue generating for the game developer. Cross-game asset swaps will be revenue generating and significant scale to all the developers and the ecosystem as well. But there's a once in a kind of industry lifetime opportunity that Web3 presents for games infra. Folks that know game development in the current industry, games infra is pretty closed source, customized, and not interoperable, resulting in pretty low quality player experiences, meaning I can't take my progression with me. I don't own this player data. When a sequel comes out, all my time and resources spent into this game are lost. Why is that? Right? And there is no good reason why that should be. We are presented with an opportunity today because of blockchain to rebuild web games infra essentially with the core technology of blockchain in the middle and with the player and gamer at its center. And that means, and we call it the play and own vision at Solana, and we're kind of giving voice to that vision. Play and own, we think that's simply what blockchain does for games, right? Of course, owning digital items and collections, but then when you go a little deeper, and we're talking about what, rebuilding games infra, players should own their own data and players should own their own progression. And then the larger vision of these asset swaps will include not only digital items and collections, it'll include player data and player progression. For example, if Matt and I are playing 2 different games on a weekend and we want to be pretty advanced, I could swap my progression for his progression in another game. Pretty straightforward value prop for the player. And currently, today, we believe Solana is the only blockchain protocol that this can be built on, right? You can't have asset swaps and asset swaps at scale if you're built on a blockchain protocol that the fees will increase when things are congested. You would limit the activity and the health of the ecosystem. And so I went into the play and own vision of Web3 games infra. We are very excited that we are starting to see early data from launch games support this theory, and through active in-game asset swaps, and when players are able to own their data and progression through rebuilding games infra, we believe that this will be a very, very active ecosystem and only able to be built on Solana.
Great, thanks, Johnny. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the network. So this is a graph of NFT activity. So to me, we're viewing this as early stages of actual product market fit. Having games and other underlying, utility and value and not just speculation is going to be the underpinning of the next bull run, we feel. And a lot of great things are happening, especially within the Solana ecosystem. The Discord integration was announced earlier this week. And what we're starting to see is a lot of cross-platform plays. So there's a lot of talk about interoperability across games. And Johnny talked about like the enablement of people to be able to, trade across games. But there's also, and across platforms. So this is what is much harder to do in Web 2, and because in Web 3 you're sharing the same data. You have actually right access as communities. So I'm sitting in a Discord server. StarAtlas is actually a really great example of this. I've been in a couple of their very large events, and like their communities are already interacting with each other and building utilities on top of the existing great assets that StarAtlas provides. And also just the smooth experience of just jumping into eve.io, and eventually like those integrations with the Discord servers that are next to those like great esports experiences, and Twitch extensions, all these kind of cross-platform integrations where people can actually integrate experiences on top of eve.io and StarAtlas and all these games for the developers. So these are community-driven tools that can actually be interacting with the in-game assets, and you're already seeing that with the NFT activity, and that's why I think that the Solana ecosystem, but just NFTs broadly are doing well. It's more than just JPEGs. I think that's the large message here. And just in terms of user growth, so one of the interesting things about Solana is it's basically the only non-EVM chain that has kind of reached exit velocity. And I think that just speaks to user experiences. If people don't know, Solana actually has some of the fastest finality the fastest finality in blockchain. I would actually say it's probably the fastest payment network in the world right now. I can buy something in Seoul, South Korea, and in New York, and it's about 1.8 seconds in terms to full finality. I can go into a coffee shop in both places, and it's the same speed. And that is a pretty incredible worldwide payment network. And you can do everything like mint NFTs and interact at that speed around the world. It's pretty incredible. And you can have these experiences built off that. And so we have, if you just look at like typical gaming numbers like 60, 90, 180-day retention, Solana's numbers are great in that way. And so this basically just sets up products for success. I think up until today, or up until pretty recently, chains have been kind of surviving off of speculation, and going forward, chains are going to be surviving based on their apps having just great user adoption. And kind of on that note, just Solana performance-wise is doing more transactions per day than all other public blockchains combined by a pretty substantial margin. And that just speaks to this something to note here. There's a lot of noise in the ecosystem and a lot of misinformation passed around, but Solana is a next generation, entirely new technology built from the ground up. It didn't inherit a lot of things from previous ecosystems, and notably, there's been some growing pains through this crazy adoption, but it's really stood the tests, and it's the chain that basically keeps on getting faster, to keep on getting more stable, and you see that in user activity. I have a little video demo. I don't know how to actually play it, but just basically, this demo would be somebody actually playing a game, but the only back end of this game. Let me say it after it plays a little bit. So this is actually a pre-approvable of a wallet. So you can see the character moving around the screen. So you may think that this is obviously just like a kind of a toy experiment, but this game doesn't have a backend. The backend is Solana, and it just kind of shows you the user experiences that you can have. It's 1.2 seconds between those things, those hops. And this isn't me preaching that you should have a completely on-chain game, but just shows the user experiences that your games can provide. If you have a marketplace, if you have your community-driven tools on chain, it'll feel very Web2. It'll look basically like a normal game, but it gives you all the access of your players and your communities developing with you. Thanks.
Thank you, Johnny and Matt, for your presentation on Solana, its benefits, and what we think is going to happen in the next year. Super excited to hear that we're going to have 40 games at the end of Q1. That is a lot of games. Very exciting. All right, next we have a Solana game showcase from StarAtlas, presented by Michael Wagner.
Great, thanks, Sammy. Really excited to be here with the Coinbase team and some other fantastic builders here in the crypto space. Matt, we are, as you know, big advocates for fully on-chain game logic and leveraging Solana as the backend. But the StarAtlas ecosystem is quite vast and admittedly quite ambitious. It includes development across multiple game environments and extensive use of open architecture on-chain game logic. So today what I'm going to do is just run through two of those game environments that we're building in, as well as a little discussion around our development philosophy in leveraging and incorporating the Solana blockchain and Web3 into our gaming products. But first, just really quickly at a high level, our flagship product is a space exploration MMO, or massively multiplayer online game and open metaverse concept. We consider this a simcade, so it's all of the immersion of a space sim, but with the immediate action of an arcade game. We want you to get right in there, start playing, and start having fun. This is hyper realistic, cinematic quality, immersive worlds developed in Unreal Engine 5. And we are huge advocates for the integration of things like NFTs for true ownership of your assets, as well as the integration of a variety of crypto tokens, both in-game currency as well as governance, governance token in our case, that enable true participation and governance across the platform, but also participation in a genuine and sustainable economy, unlocking things like play to earn, and that's facilitated because we enable players to participate in this alternative financial ecosystem that is the crypto world. So moving along, the first one of our game environments that I wanted to focus on here is developed in browser. This is a browser-based game. It's developed in Play Canvas. We call this StarAtlas Golden Era, or SAGE. And this is a top-down isometric view real-time strategy game. The core gameplay mechanics center around territory expansion and control. Players are navigating away from their central space stations on a single instance global arena, participating in PvP and PvE, and focusing heavily on gathering resources from celestial bodies, crafting resources into materials, and then constructing star bases, defending those star bases, and opening warp lanes to new territories. And players are constantly battling to gain control as much of the territory of the map as possible. This is just a quick screenshot here of what the environment is going to look like. What you see here are WebGL assets. Yeah, these are all WebGL assets. Sorry, a little misstep there on the slides. WebGL assets, what you're seeing in the UI is the player progression system on the top left, a fleet management system on the right-hand side of the screen, and then the action hub in the lower left. Now, one thing that I really want to point out here, and I'll talk about this a bit more when I talk through our development philosophy, but it is this idea of actual on-chain game logic. We're deploying no less than 6 on-chain programs on Solana in the development of this product. So things like your character progression, like Johnny was referring to, your XP system, your LP system, the coordinate systems in the game, and your movement around the map, combat systems, inventory management, the resource extraction itself, and then the crafting systems. These are all actual transactions that are taking place on Solana, and we are leveraging Solana to the fullest extent to be the backend game server for what we're doing across StarAtlas. And then just moving along, a couple slides here on, as I said, our flagship product that's being developed in Unreal Engine. Now, anybody out there in the games industry will know that AAA high-quality game development takes quite a long time to build. The running average is probably 7 to 10 years now for a complete product, final product, to be shipped to market. Now, fortunately, in our case, we've done a really phenomenal job at being able to fragment out various development stages and deliver feature sets out to our users that can keep them consistently engaged, give them new mechanics to play, open up new career paths for people, and just constantly deliver content. And what we're looking at right here is part of a phase that we call our pre-season. This consists of 4 individual releases. The first release came on September 29th of this year. We launched on the Epic Games Store. It was the second Web3 game, I believe, to launch on EGS. And the concept was pretty simple initially. It was just this really beautiful environment, and it gave players the ability to load assets into the game based on their Solana connected wallet into Unreal Engine 5. What we were able to do is develop out an SDK, a Web3.js library developed in C++ that natively integrated Solana into Unreal Engine. And we did that specifically because we again, genuinely believe in this idea of true asset ownership, and we wanted to support that asset ownership in the game. And so any of the ships that you're able to load are based on those ships that are actually in your possession and in your wallet. But players could summon these ships, they're able to run around the map, and that was primarily the extent of the first release. Now, very soon here, and in fact, tomorrow we'll be making an official announcement around this, but the second iteration of our showroom, our Volant Station showroom module, will be coming out. And this is a pretty extensive improvement on the experience. We added support for a number of additional ship assets. We added the ability to explore the interiors of ships. We added the flight physics, so players are actually able to fly around in this map with their ship. There's social dynamics, including multiplayer support, proximity voice chat, text-based chat, and then some major enhancements to the character selection and skin system, so you can actually customize your avatar as you're running around in this map. And then there are 3 core gameplay loops across 2 environments within the R2 release. One of those is a time trial course in the showroom, which is what the image that we're looking at here. We have a time trial course out in space, and then that outer space arena is also a dogfighting arena where players are able to engage in PvE combat and test their skills against AI. Going into the future and really into 2023, as we continue to expand this map, which ultimately becomes one of the central space stations in the game, the Mud faction central space station, the map will expand beyond the showroom, which is, it's kind of hard to see, but it's in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. That's the entirety of the StarAtlas universe today. But players will be contributing globally to mining, extraction, and crafting loops that lead to the construction of this first mega project in the game. So players will actually be building this warp gate, which allows them to transport themselves off of the space station and out into space. And then finally, just some quick notes here again on the development philosophy. So for us, when we think about Web3 gaming, it is, again, leveraging the full extent of the blockchain within our game development process. The first step in a Web3 game would be to incorporate NFTs into the product itself. This is phenomenal for asset ownership for the player. The next step of that is to incorporate a crypto-based economy, unlocking the potential for play to earn. But where we see massive, massive potential in, especially in developing interoperable and interconnected gaming environments, is this idea of abstracting logic from the engine, building that on the blockchain, and then unlocking the potential for other developers, third parties, to create their own services and products on top of that. In many ways, the way that we develop our game, and the reason why I call it an ecosystem, is that we operate very much like a layer 1 blockchain protocol itself, building out primitives and building out tools that provides the ability for other people to create these services and monetize themselves. So DeFi applications can be permissionlessly built on top of StarAtlas, and not only does that benefit the developer, it benefits our players, and we get an opportunity to massively expand our audience. So with that, I think we are going to roll into a video here. And this is just a demo of that latest release. You'll see some in-engine, in-game footage of the up-and-coming R2 release.
All right. Thank you so much. There we go. All right. Thank you so much, Michael, for the very cool demonstration and for the video. It is amazing to see what we're doing on the Solana blockchain. And I think we're actually getting literal here when we said blockchain is going to take us to the moon, because outer space and blockchain, what a combination. All right, up next, I am very excited to introduce you to Chris Scott from EVIO.
Hi, everyone. Really happy to be here. I love everything that Coinbase is doing for the space. I've been using Coinbase for a couple of years now, and I always tell my friends, I say, like, hang on a sec, you have the opportunity to invest all of your crypto in a publicly traded, regulated exchange, or you could put your money in an exchange that's not publicly traded, that's not regulated, and you choose to put it in the one that's not regulated. So I think it's kind of like I trust Coinbase, and I think you guys have proven yourselves. And there's a lot of things that you're doing. I think you're doing all the right moves, and I appreciate you giving us projects like EV.io and StarAtlas a little bit of the spotlight and the opportunity to tell our stories. So that's my kowtow speech. But EV.io is a first-person shooter, completely 100% on the browser. You don't have to take our word for it. You don't have to read any long white papers. You don't have to download anything. You don't have to install anything. You just go straight to EV.io in your browser, letter E, letter V, .io, and you can jump in a game and start playing. We took a little bit of a different approach than StarAtlas did in terms of blockchain integration. We're not 100% like everything in EV.io is not 100% on chain, nor do we set out, I guess, to make everything on chain. I believe that you don't necessarily have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and that there's still some aspects of centralization that are kind of necessary, purely for practical reasons and for technical reasons. Just to give you an example, players in EV, they earn small amounts of cryptocurrency every single time that they get a kill in the game. So if we were to send actual cryptocurrency for every single kill, it would just completely destroy our servers. Because interacting with a node and interacting with live blockchain data, it's actually very cumbersome. And the tech isn't super fleshed out. There's really a strong need for someone like Coinbase, Coinbase Cloud, which I've heard a lot about, someone to develop the infrastructure for projects like us to be able to access nodes and more effectively interact with blockchains at a technical level. Because right now, you know, we're hopping back and forth between different Solana public nodes, right? And there's a couple of services out there where you pay $300 for a node, and they very frequently go down and they have very unreliable service. So I'm really excited to hear about Coinbase is working on a cloud platform to offer blockchain infrastructure to people. I think it's an absolute necessity, and we'll be the very first ones to sign up because we very desperately need reliable Solana nodes. So more about the project. EV, first-person shooter, heavily inspired by Halo and Destiny, which means, you know, it's not just pointing and shooting. You have all kinds of different grenades, and you have a giant sword, and there's triple jump, there's teleportation, there's all kinds of crazy mechanics that we invented. Some of the stuff, you know, it was inspired from other games. Like, for example, there's an impulse grenade, and you throw it right down at your feet, and you go flying in the air. And I believe Fortnite Season 2 or Season 3 had this mechanic, and we saw it, and we absolutely loved it. So we wanted it in the game. So we're very product centric. Pretty much everyone on the team is directly involved. Either they play the game religiously themselves, or they have some contribution when it comes to the development of the game. No matter how small that contribution is, whether it's making ambient sounds or writing code, or making music or designing 3D models. Almost everyone, 100% of the people that are working on EV.io, we're all working on product in some capacity, and I feel like that's really important, and it's really part of our ethos that we put the product first, and we never forget that the reason why people would ever spend any time in a game is because they want to have fun and they want to have an experience. So we started out sort of in a different, I guess, approaching it from a different angle than a lot of projects do. We had the game out there before we even had we sold any NFTs or had any kind of blockchain technology. And we've slowly been adding blockchain integrations. For example, the character skins and the sword skins and the gun skins, those all exist as NFTs on these Solana blockchain. And if you equip technology where it matters, which is when the user wants to extract value, whether that be in-game rewards, or whether that be ownership of digital items, but where it doesn't count, purely for technical reasons, we have to use an intermediary off-chain currency. And there's other reasons for taking that approach too. We ultimately see EV.io as being a cross-chain blockchain, and we're definitely interested in integrating other chains as well. We're so happy with Solana. The reason why we chose Solana was purely based on the tech. There was no perks or added incentives that we got for joining Solana. We just looked at it and we were like, it's Ethereum, but without the fees, and with the smart contracts, without the fees. So we're so happy with everything we're really happy with how far we've come with Solana, and we plan to always be on the Solana blockchain. So yeah, that's the basics. For the future, we have this game mode called Snipe the Streamer. EV.io, we're actually owned by a company called Enthusiast Gaming. And this company, Enthusiast Gaming, they own Team Luminosity, which is one of the largest esports organizations in the world. And we're always trying to devise ways that we can put EV.io in front of the audiences of these Team Luminosity streamers. And one of the ideas that we came up with was Snipe the Streamer. And it's quite literally a game mode that is exactly how it sounds. You have a streamer that gets into the game, and they share the game via a link, and their audience can play against them. And they have god power abilities, and they only take 5% of damage, and they get to interact and they get to play against their audience. So it plays to EV.io's strengths of being a highly accessible game in the browser, and the fact that the rewards for the game that they exist, on the blockchain, only makes it easier for us to reward people for their in-game performance. Yeah, so we have that coming. We have mini games coming. We have a huge esports scene. Today we got an award from an organization called PokeStar, an award for the best esports title. So we're really excited about that. StarAtlas also won an award for best graphics. So congratulations, StarAtlas. It's really interesting, all of the interoperability of, there's so many businesses that I'm interacting with on a day-to-day business. Before I got into blockchain gaming, I was in Web 2, and I never saw this much I've never interacted with so many different system. And I know that there's a lot of, talk about the price of everything and the state of the market and doom and gloom. But, it's like, I've been in the space for so long and I've witnessed so many bear and bull cycles that it almost doesn't faze me. And most of the players, most of the EV.io players, like they don't care about any of that stuff. They barely know that any of that stuff is even happening, that we're in a bear market. They're just so focused on like getting the best skins and like playing the game and having fun. So I think that's the future of the space is utility, and games allow, they grant blockchain utility, just like cryptocurrencies. There's a utility there, right? There's a purpose. There's something that cryptocurrencies have that traditional currencies don't have. Well, that same technology, it manifests in the game world in a similar way, and that way is proof of ownership. You can own game assets. They live on the blockchain. They're not in someone's database, and that whatever developer or publisher can't create 1,000 copies without you knowing about it. Everything is public and everything is transparent. And because of that, the value of these in-game items is higher, and the tradability of these things is higher. So yeah, I'm super bullish on the space. I think that the trajectory that we're on, there's just no stopping it. I mean, there's so much momentum, and there's so many builders like me that just will never stop. And I think as soon as that pizza got sold for however many millions of Bitcoin, once that happened, and once the public made the connection that a digital asset could be worth, something in the real world, I think that that after that has happened, nothing can stop it. It's a trajectory that we're on, that will never derail, no matter what's in the news or how many centralized entities fail. Yeah, so that's my whole spiel. If you want to, I want to invite everyone to go check out EV.io, where we're a blockchain game that people actually play. Last year we had 80,000 daily active users. That was our peak. That was our peak day. You don't need to take my word for it. You can just go to EV.io straight in your browser and have fun. And yeah, that's everything for me. I'm sorry I went over my time limit. I tend to babble.
No, it was awesome. Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing the details. Congratulations to both the EV.io team and the StarAtlas team for your awards. Very well deserved. To wrap up, we have Caitlin Wu from Coinbase Cloud explaining how we can help you build.
Thank you, Sammy, and thank you, Chris, for the kind word about the Coinbase Cloud products. So I'm here very excited to share with all of you about what we have built and what we are building next. So many of you may not be so familiar with the Coinbase Cloud. As Chris explained a little bit earlier, Coinbase Cloud is really to make blockchain development reliable and accessible. So we are building the blockchain infrastructure, making those available for all of the developers. And we are looking at the top 2 pain points faced by many developers out there. Number 1 is it's very challenging to just set up and maintain a node. And number 2 is it's very challenging to just access the data in a very easy to use or consumable format. So we are in a very good position to support all of that. And I would be very excited to share with you like the platform that Chris mentioned. We have already launched that back in September. So I'm not sure if you can see this link that I'm gonna share with you all here in the chat. If not, feel free to just Google Coinbase Cloud Node Platform and feel free to sign up, and everyone could be able to access up to 3 free projects. And So back in September, we have launched the Ethereum project, and today we have launched Solana project, but that's only for internal beta testing right now. But very soon in January, we will make that for external beta testing. So after today's presentation, I may also invite you guys to participate in the beta testing that we are having in January. We can cover more details for that later. But I also want to share that after our launch of the Ethereum project on the platform, we have attracted over 10,000 developers building actively, making calls on the APIs, the indexers that we are including. So that's very good progress, and that's something exciting to share with you all. So this again is speaking about our launches, our achievements for the past year, and you can see the high quality of our products, including the availability, the data freshness, correctness, and the latency metrics. So I know that we are running a little bit short on time, so probably I will skip some of the slides here, and I would love to actually bring you to a live demo for taking you through to take a look at what we are having for Ethereum project. So you can imagine and then you can just expect what's coming up for Solana project. Okay, with that, I will try to share my screen.
Caitlin, I think you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, I don't know why, but I was muted automatically after I shared my screen. So I was saying that it was the landing page when you logged in, and then you could be able to create new projects. And here is the project that I have already created. But when you try that out, you can see that you will be able to create your own endpoint within a few seconds. And then just take that endpoint and then copy and paste to your own environment. You will be good to go and start building. Just as easy as that. And then if you scroll down, you can see that, so of course, this is what I'm sharing about the public Ethereum projects available, but soon in January, we will be able to share the Solana projects very soon. So here you can also see all of the developer docs on Ethereum APIs, on NFT APIs, and more, we also have the advanced API docs. And in here, you will also have your metrics dashboard. And also, this is the free project available for everyone. Like I mentioned, everyone is entitled to have up to 3 free projects and with 120,000 free daily request limit. Okay, so this is the platform experience. And I would also love to take you through and share with you about our API experience. So I'm just taking the Postman for API examples. As you can see, we have 3 sets of APIs included for Ethereum. We have the native APIs, just like the RPC methods for the native Solana APIs. And then we also have advanced APIs. That's also what we wanted to build for Solana. The goal for advanced API is to provide very simple queries for very comprehensive data. And I can definitely show some examples later. And then finally, we also have the Coinbase NFT APIs. I know it's very important to include those NFT APIs for gaming applications. So let's dig in a little bit deeper for the advanced APIs. We have balances and announces. We have transactions and transfers, smart contract events. So take get balances, for example. You can see, hold on, I don't know why this is not showing up. Okay, here you go. So you will be able to see that we can actually get balances from multiple addresses with one simple query. And then if I hit send the request here, then you can see all of the results down here. So you can see all of the results here from multiple addresses and also the decimal information. And we can also try something about the get transactions by address. So for the get transactions by address, it's a very comprehensive call. It scans through multiple lines of the block range and then return full information about like a from, to, smart contract address, all of those information with one simple call. So you can see this is how many, sorry, I think I need to make this larger so that everyone can see. Okay, here you go. So you can see, I just scroll down to the bottom. You can see there are over 17,000 lines, and all of these requests have been processed within 200 milliseconds. So this is very impressive in terms of the latency, and also we return all of the results in one simple request. So for the Coinbase NFT APIs, we would be able to list all of the tokens by contract, all of the entire collections, and also including the list wallets activities. So I know that we are running over a little bit, so I would like to stop here and just invite you all to start participating in the beta test for Solana projects, because that's something very exciting that's happening in Q1.
All right. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for walking us through the latest developments in our Coinbase Cloud. As you saw, we are very serious about building, and we're very serious about new gaming trends, as with everyone here. All right. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who joined us for the panel today. Everyone had a lot of different viewpoints and expectations, but we're all kind of aligned in being super excited for what is to come, and that the blocks are already being built. So everyone, please go check out our 2 games. Please check out Solana, and of course, please check out Coinbase. Thank you so much for listening in today. Hope to see you soon. Happy holidays and have a great evening. Bye-bye.